Hello everyone, good morning. My name is Izel Katigan, the first reporter from Group 8, and today I will be discussing to you about the Bandura Social Cognitive Theory. But before that, let us have the learning objectives. Number 1, explain how people learn through observations and imitation. Number 2, describe the impact of reinforcement, punishment, and self-efficacy on behavior. Number 3, identify the four mediational processes of learning: attention, retention, reproduction, and motivation. I request Ms. T1 to please read. Okay, thank you. Albert Bandura, 1925 to 2021, a Canadian psychologist, developed the social cognitive theory, which emphasizes learning through observation and interaction with the social environment. His theory shifted the focus from behaviorism to a more cognitive understanding of how people acquire and perform behaviors. So, Albert Bandura was a Canadian psychologist who created the social cognitive theory year 1925 to 2021. So, siya ang nag-create anang social cognitive theory. Kini iyang theory says that ang mga tao kay maka-learn kuno not just by doing things no sa mga butang, but also po di ay by watching others and interacting with people nga naa sa ilaha or atuang palibot. So his idea changed how people thought about learning. Instead sa panghuna-huna that behaviors only comes from rewards or punishment, ginashow sab ni Albert Bandura that our thoughts and what we see others do also affect. No, makaapekto jud siya sa ato how we learn and act pod sa mga butang. Next is observational learning and the Bobodal experiment. Bandura's Bobodal experiment demonstrated that children learn behaviors through observations and imitation. So, in Bandura's Bobodal experiment, he showed that children can learn by watching others, 'di ba? Just like sa karon sa mga panahon kung mapansin ninyo, ang mga bata, 'di ba, if naa kay buhaton or just like mga storya nga mga butang, is dali ra jud nila makasundog or makatch up dayon bisag dili na nimo sila tudluan is makasundog na gihapon na sila. So, in the experiment sub, kind in the experiment sub, kids saw an adult hitting a toy called Bobodal. So later, kasagaran sa mga bata pero dili tanan kasagaran sa mga bata, ginasundog pud nila kung unsa ilahang nakita. Ginahitsab nila ang doll. So diri ginapakita that people, especially children no, makatuon jud sila new behavior sa unsang pamaagi man. So, by observing and imitating others even without being told what to do. So, bisan pag dili nimo na sila suguon nga mao na ang ilahang buhaton is mabuhat jud nila kay maobserbaran man pud nila na. Kasagaran sa mga kanang kuan karon kay para sa nang mag-edad gud og kanang 1 year old, di ba? Kabantay mo kanang murag dali ra kayo sila maka catch up dayon, di ba? Bisag kanang dili ani mo ingon nga buhatan na no. Basta kay makita nila nga mao pud mo ginabuhat, masundog jud na nila. Okay, the last slide sa akong part is observational learning shows that imitation is both innate and influenced by external factors like reinforcement or punishment. Okay, when we say observational learning means that people can learn by watching others. Para sa tong gisulti nako kagaina, it shows that imitating others is something we naturally do. Diba? As we grew up, what we act is influenced by the people nga naa sa atoang palibot. Ma-adapt sab nato ilang nilihukan kay maupod ato ang makita or maobserbaran. But it can also be affected by what happens pagkahuman sa ana. Like something gets rewarded or punished for that behavior.
Good morning, everyone. Today, I'm going to continue the report. My name is Christian J.S. Belmonte. Reinforcement, punishment, and self-efficiency. Learning is influenced by observing the consequences of others' actions, process known as various reinforcement. So, ginakuha ni sa mga bata, kay mag-observe sila, maayo ba ni, dili ba? When a model's behaviors is rewarded, observers are more likely to imitate it. If punishments are less likely to do so. So, makita yun sa mga bata. Kung makita nila nga gi-reward ang isa ka bata silang iyang good behavior, so sandugon to niya nga behavior. Kung nakita to niya nga naatoy punishment, dito niya kato nga behavior na ay punishment, dito niya buhaton kay para di siya mapanato. Key concept of Bandura's theory, a self-efficiency is one of their ability to perform specific tasks successfully. So Bandura's theory, ang mga bata kay naa sila i-perform nga task specific para successful ilang growth.
Now, I'll be discussing the cognitive and the social dimensions of learning. So, Bandura explained that learning is not just about copying others, it is also about thinking and understanding. So that's why it's called the social cognitive theory. Social means we learn with others, and cognitive means it involves thinking, memory, and understanding. So, when we learn something, we don't just copy or dili lang kopyahon nato na nga behavior. So, nahunaon sa pud nato kung kanang behavior tama ba na o mali bago nato buhaton. So, we think about why that behavior is right or wrong. So, this makes learning deeper and more meaningful. So, for example, kung makakita ka sa imong teacher nga gitabangan ning imong classmates nga walay lapis, so ikaw dili lang ka para kanang para ingnon or dili lang ka para gusto pug ka i-praise, so nasabtan nimo nga tabang is the right thing to do. So you help others because you understand the reason behind it. So learning happens when we think, observe, and understand, not just when we copy. So now that we understand what the cognitive and the social dimension of learning means, so let's move on to the next part, the four mediational processes that explain how we actually learn from what we observe. According to Albert Bandura, when we learn by watching others, dili siya automatic dili tungod nga kita lang naka-observe, makakatuna ta dayon. So, na siya giingon nga four mediational processes or upat ka steps nga kinahanglan mahitabo before ta makatun sa usa ka behavior. So, first is ang attention, second, retention, third, kay reproduction, fourth is motivation. So first is the attention or pagtagal. So before we can learn from someone, we must first pay attention. So kung dili ka magtanaw og tarong, so dili po ka makakaton. So we need to focus on the model or tao kung kinsa ang atong ginatan-aw o sa iyahang ginabuhat. Gusto ka makakaton, so dapat attentive ka. So dili pwede nga magtan-aw lang ka pero wala didto imong attention. Mas makakaton ta kung interesado ta sa tawo nga atong ginatan-aw kung unsa ang iyang influence nato. So Bandura said that people are more likely to pay attention if the model is interesting, the model is familiar, or like parent or teacher. So the model is respected or admired. For example, is nakakita ka sa imuhang teacher nga nagpray before eating. So kung attentive ka, so nakabalo siya kung unsa ang gibuhat sa teacher. So you can only learn from what you pay attention to. Kung wala ka nagtan-aw, so wala jud kay matun-an. So the second is retention. So after paying attention, you need to remember what you saw. So ni nga process nga imong utok is naga-restore of information para magamit nimo. So if you forget, dili nimo mabuhat ang behavior. So for example, nakita sa attention is nakita kasi mo ang teacher nga pray before eating. So, diri sa retention is nahinumduman nimo kung unsa ang gibuhat sa teacher nga nagpray before eating. So third is reproduction. So after you remember, the next step is copy the behavior yourself. So this is when learning becomes visible. So imong gisulayan og buhat kung unsa imong nakita. So dili lang siya tan-aw og remember, pero buhaton na nimo kung unsa imong nakita. So for example, sa katong teacher nga nakita ka sa imong teacher nga nagpray before eating. So diri sa reproduction is imo na gisulayan og buhat. So imo gibuhat na nimo nga magpray before eating. So the last one is the motivation. So the last step is motivation. So this is the reason why you want to copy the behavior. So even if you already know how to do something, you won't do it unless you're motivated. So we are motivated when we expect a reward or a good result. For example, sa katong mag-pray before eating, yung gibuhat, so yung reason is gusto pa siya nga magpasalamat kay God sa mga blessings ng iyahang gihatan. So naa siya reason. So you do the behavior because you have the reason or goal. So that's motivation. So Bandara social cognitive theory tell us that we learn through observation, imitation, and motivation. So we watch others, we think about what we saw, and we copy it, especially if we see a good result. So we are also guided by our confidence or katong ginatawag nga self-efficacy. So as students or future elementary educators, so we should always be a good role model because others might copy our actions. So our behavior can influence others, so whether good or bad. So that's all. Thank you.